One of the hardest things we ever have in our homes is knowing which light switch to press on. You ever notice whenever you're in a fancy home, or if you ever happen to be to your mate's house who actually has a bunch of light switches next to him, you're not quite sure which light switch you're supposed to switch on? Well, unfortunately, in this amazing, unbelievable story from News Thump, it also seems to be the case for when people go home. The man is not entirely sure which light switch to press in his own home. What a terrible ordeal, because if he presses the wrong one, he could find himself in the dark. That would be a terrible tragedy indeed. Then you would have to lose the light from your phone. No, you don't want to use that. It would just waste your battery. Very complex, isn't it? Yeah, having all these flickery switches together. Why didn't they just put names of saying where each light switch is for? That would make it surely much more simpler for a man to understand. Putting 2 or more light switches on the same panel will keep homeowners confused for decades, according to a new study. Researchers have concluded that it frequently takes people multiple attempts to locate the correct light switch, even if they've been living in the same property for many years. Like many people, homeowner Simon Williams presses light switches after dark in order to see things. And like many people, he often manages to F up even this most basic of tasks. Absolutely terrible for him. I'm fine with the bathroom, he said. There's a lengthy of string by the door, and that's easy. I mean, it was a little confusing when we had a chain pull flush, but now we have a push button, and it's much cleaner. Yeah, I do make things much easier, definitely. However, in the hallway there are 2 adjacent light switches, one for the hallway itself and one for the upstairs landing. I never, and I mean never, pressed the correct one in the first attempt. And to make matters worse, there's an equivalent panel upstairs which is equally incomprehensible. My God. The insanity this man has to gone through, guys. Where is the sympathy for him? The supposedly simple act of turning on a light often takes about half a dozen presses. It feels as if I'm communicating in Morse codes or something. The weird thing is I'm actually an airline pilot, so I'm used to controlling a console with multiple switches. 3 in fact, the autopilot, the seatbelt sign, and the button, which lets the cabin crew know that I need a refill. But more than one light switch, and suddenly I'm like Chris Grayling on the Krypton Factor. Well, I suppose there's still time. I've only lived here for 20 years. There is still time for you, my friend. There is still time for you. Hopefully, the man will figure it out at some point. It may take a couple more years. It may take a decade. But I'm sure eventually he will get it right when it comes to those light switches. But I tell you what, I know exactly what it's like. Because downstairs in my home, there's right by the door, there's 2 light switches. And sometimes I don't know which one is which. And it can be very confusing. And I totally and completely understand this. And I'm sure that every single man up and down the country completely goes through this massive problem. But for some reason, women seem to know exactly what light switch to put on, and all the time they never get it wrong. But for some reason, men always get it wrong. I don't understand that logic. It's almost as if women are smarter than men when it comes to something like this. Very interesting indeed. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of this terrible man's ordeal, not knowing which light to switch on in his home? It is a terrible tragedy indeed. And do you, fellow men, have this same situation as well? Let me know your thoughts and more down in the comment section below. It's very important that we know exactly the situations that you all go in. Thank you all very much for watching. Do check out the News Thump page, subscribe to their work, and subscribe to this channel as well. Hit that like button, and we'll catch you very soon.